What are you doing, sweet girl? Hi, honey. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel and yet another pregnancy update. This time we are covering weeks 10 through 12. Today is Friday, March 8th, and I am exactly 12 weeks and 3 days pregnant. I'm a little bit late putting this video up for a number of reasons, and I'll touch on some of them as the video progresses. But I figured I could just talk about a few of the symptoms I've been having, give you an update on some of them, and then talk a little bit about my first official visit with my midwife that we've chosen. So the first thing that I have repeated myself so much about since I've started doing these pregnancy update videos is my nausea, and how I've been taking that Unisom B6 combination every single night, how I've had to up the milligrams to try to hold me over throughout the day. I have been hoping that as I'm getting closer and closer to the end of my first trimester that the nausea on its own would get better, like it does for a lot of women. I know that there are some people that have it up until halfway through their pregnancy, or they have it for their entire pregnancy. I'm really hoping that I'm not going to be one of those unlucky people. But like I've said, when I was pregnant with Aubrey, I had a horrible nausea without throwing up until like I hit exactly 13 weeks, and right now I'm like 12 and a half. So you would think that it would be getting better on its own. So last night I actually tested out how I would feel if I didn't take the Unisom combination at night, and all day long I have felt extremely nauseous. Like even right now I'm kind of fighting the urge to just go throw up everything I had for lunch, and it just really sucks. Like I hope that this time around I won't be one of those unlucky ones that has it, you know, for longer than the first trimester. But I'm so sick of taking those pills every single night. Like they're this big, they're microscopic, like the size of a grain of rice basically. But I think I've mentioned before that I hate taking pills no matter the size. It's not a size issue, it's just the fact that I hate taking them, and I hate that I've had to take that combination every single night. It just gets really old. I just hate taking medicine. I hate complaining about it because, you know, if the nausea is worse, you should be willing to do whatever it takes to get rid of it. But even when I do take it, I will say it's like starting to work less and less and less. So it seemed like I had kind of become immune to it, and I had to up the Unisom from just the half a pill that I was taking to the full dose, which is 25 milligrams. Because it had stopped working as well, and I'm taking the full Unisom right now. I can't take any more. It's the most that you're allowed to take, and it's already not really working that great for me anymore. So even when I do take it, I still feel nauseous throughout the day. It's not near as bad, so it's still worth taking, and obviously I still need to take it because my body isn't over that. So I'll still continue to do it, but it's like my body is fighting against it, and I'm just praying, really hardcore praying that, you know, the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel is getting closer and closer with the end of the first trimester. I'm really hoping for that honeymoon phase that everybody gets when they hit the second trimester. I do want to say I apologize if I keep looking to the side, but Aubrey is playing outside. That's why I'm sitting like right in front of the door, and so I'm trying to keep an eye on her, but it's just beautiful weather today and she's really enjoying herself. So anyway, the next symptom I guess I can update on is how I was getting those headaches. So I was getting them every single day at night. So like in the evening, maybe around like dinner time, then I would have to go to bed with a headache. I started to get them every single day. I don't know if I mentioned that in my last update, if that was when they started to come every single day, but it was literally every single night. Recently I was like going to bed with them and waking up with them, and I would have it for the entire day. And they're just the kind of headaches where like if you like bend over, it like really makes your head pound for a couple of seconds. So just kind of like debilitating in a way, not to be dramatic, but I'm a big baby about headaches too, because I'm not the type of person that gets them on a regular basis. I did have them when I was pregnant with Aubrey, so I know it's just because of the extra blood flow, but they've kind of subsided a little bit. So maybe I'm in the clear for the headaches as well, or maybe I'm just getting, you know, used to it, or all the hormones, or because the placenta is taking on more of the responsibility now, it's lessening those symptoms for me. I don't know, whatever the case may be, I'm glad that for the last couple of days I haven't had one, or it hasn't been severe enough to ruin my day. So fingers crossed that maybe that's one of the things that I won't be experiencing for much longer. As far as my skin is going, I am noticing that it's finally getting a little bit better. There was one day where I looked in the mirror, I was about to put makeup on, we were going somewhere, and I noticed that the bumps on my forehead were so insane. I was like, my skin literally looks terrible, but I don't know how good my skin looks in the camera, but all I have on is concealer under my eyes and a little bit of like a darker color concealer on my chin and on my forehead, and I just kind of blended that out, and I put powder right on top of it. And I just noticed that the bumps on my forehead are a lot better than how bad they had gotten at one point, and I'm really happy about that. I've still continued to use the same exact face wash, just like a charcoal face scrub on the face scrubber. I was using it every single day at one point, but I got really lazy. So now I'm pretty much using it only about 3 to 4 times a week, and it's really helped. It does help that I don't wear makeup every day, because then I don't have to worry about like super scrubbing my face, but it felt good to keep it clean, and I'm happy with the fact that it's getting a lot better day by day. You're so cool. Wow. You're so cool. Look at yourself. You're so silly. Anyway, so we had our first official appointment with our midwife. We were there for about an hour and a half for this visit, which is what they tell you to expect at your first visit, just because they have a lot to go over, paperwork, your first official exam, things like that. So I had a lot of forms to fill out, but everything was on a super convenient iPad, so it was just like touch it and fill it in, and that went by pretty quick. And then we went into the actual exam room part. They did take about 6 vials of blood just to do the initial like blood test and everything like that, to see where my hormones were. Originally they were going to take 4, but my midwife noticed that I have that hair loss going on in the back of my head, which I've mentioned in a couple of my other videos, but not at all in my pregnancy updates. But she noticed that I had hair loss and decided to take 2 more vials to test my thyroid, and I actually went back to her today for a quick visit to go over my blood work, and it looks like everything with my thyroid is fine, so it's time to be sent to a dermatologist. So I hopefully soon will have more information on that. It looks like just a standard case of alopecia. It has nothing to do with the pregnancy. It started to happen over the summer. I don't know if you happened to see that video where I was dyeing my hair. I mentioned it in that video. I think it started probably around September or October, and I can't just pinpoint a time because I'm assuming the bald spot started out small, but it's much larger now. It's about the size of the palm of my hand. If I'm brave enough, I'll insert a few pictures because it's just the reality of what it is. So it's time to visit a dermatologist now that they've checked my thyroid, and that's not really providing any answers. So as far as my blood work and everything else, everything came back fine. When it was time to try to find the baby's heartbeat, she was doing it with the regular handheld Doppler, and at first it was really hard to find, and Aubrey was really fussy, unfortunately, at this visit. The whole office is like centered around parents that already have kids because it's just full of toys in the waiting room. Luckily I had Dylan with me, so he took Aubrey out to the waiting room to play with toys, and as soon as he left the room, the midwife suggested that we just switch over to the ultrasound because she said that I probably have a uterus that's like kind of set farther back. I don't remember the term that she used. That would explain why it was hard to find a heartbeat for the baby. Also because the baby was still really small, is still really small. Go outside and play. Yeah, you always want to go outside. Yeah, do you want music on? Okay, hopefully the music isn't too disturbing, but I'm trying to keep her occupied. Where was I? Okay, so at that point the midwife decided to switch over to the ultrasound. And I was so happy that she did that because not a lot of birth centers, in my experience, don't have the ultrasound technology on hand. They have to send you to like another diagnostic place, especially for like your 5-month checkup. So I was so happy. She's just nonchalant, like, oh, let's just switch over to ultrasound and, you know, see where the baby is positioned. And so she switched over, and as soon as she found where the baby is, it was just doing like insane rolls. She's like, have you felt the baby moving already? And like I mentioned in my last video, I could have sworn that I was already feeling movement, but I wasn't sure if people would think I was crazy because of how small the baby still is. And when she asked me that, I was like, yes, I think I have been. And she's like, oh yeah, the baby is moving so much that you have to be feeling something at this point, even if it's still really small. Especially if it's your second pregnancy, most likely you are feeling movement this early. And so I was really happy that she validated that for me. But I mean, literally the baby was just doing so many rolls that it just kind of explained why it was hard to find a heartbeat. And she was also, the baby's actually positioned completely on the opposite side where they had the Doppler. So we did get to hear the heartbeat. It was in the 150 range, so everything looked great. Clearly the baby is super healthy. It's basically doing gymnastics in my stomach. And after that point, everything looked great. So I got a little sneak peek of the baby, which was really exciting. Aside from the appointment that we went back for today, we're at the point that our visits will only be once a month. And I'll update more as we go along with those. Another symptom that I think I mentioned in my last video is my freaking sore boobs. Like, they hurt so bad, you guys. They literally, like, when I go to bed, for a majority of the night I sleep on my back, which I know I'm gonna have to try to change that habit as my belly grows, because it's not good to sleep on your back. But I start out sleeping on my back for the longest amount of time, and then I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll start tossing and turning like I mentioned before. And my boobs will literally hurt so bad from laying in each position and like getting used to it that it hurts to move. So I'm feeling the pain even overnight. And then when I wake up in the morning, they're extremely sore. Like a sore muscle, like I just worked out my boobs or something like that. Like it's just a very, very sore sensation, and it's actually painful. For majority of the day, if we're not going anywhere, I'll be honest, I don't wear a bra because that just causes more pain and more discomfort by the time I take it off at the end of the day. But a normal day like today, we have to put a bra on to, you know, be appropriate when we're out and about around other people, and it's freaking miserable. I don't know what to do about it. I could always take Tylenol. That's helped a little bit. Like when I take Tylenol for my headaches, it takes away all the other pain that I'm having anywhere else. But like I said, for the 150th time, I don't like taking medicine. So I'm just gonna have to deal with this pain. I did soak in a hot or warm bath last night, and that helped a little bit for all the sore muscles that I'm having because I've been working out too. And I don't know. Like I said before, maybe it's because I've already breastfed a baby and my body is just like supercharged and ready to go for this next one. But damn, they're really freaking hurting. I wasn't prepared for this. As far as any other symptoms, I can't think of any right now that are new. Like I said, the nausea is the same, the sore breasts, the headaches, the fatigue is basically the same. Some days are worse than others. Like yesterday, I was exhausted for whatever reason. By the end of the day, no matter what, I'm still super exhausted. I'll be honest with you, I haven't been doing too hot on drinking as much water as I wanted to. So I fill up this bad boy, 64 ounces every single day with ice water. It keeps my water super cold. I sip from it throughout the day. I think there was like 1 or 2 days where I actually finished an entire thing and then filled it up more and then like drank another half of it. So that was really good. I'm supposed to be drinking way more water than I am, but like I said before, I'm horrible about drinking water, but this thing certainly helps. I'm trying really hard. I have to kick out all of the other beverages that I choose to drink, like soda. I can't help it. There are some days, especially when my headaches are really bad, that I just feel like I absolutely have to have one. And then I feel incredibly guilty after I drink it and I run for my water. So the last thing I want to touch on in this video is rather a serious subject, but it's been on my mind to mention for a while, and it's something that I'm actually going through and experiencing right now. I want to be as candid as possible on this channel, no matter what, you know, subject matter I'm putting out there, whether it be more of these pregnancy updates or a random clean with me video or a hair dyeing video, whatever the case may be. I want to be as honest as possible, because I think when we talk about serious stuff like what I'm about to mention, it's got to be helping somebody somewhere. Like, no matter if I'm getting 5 views or 250 views on a video, somebody out there is going to see it and hopefully relate, and just we're all going to realize that we're not alone. Because for the longest time I felt like I couldn't talk about this even with my own family, because it's just like a scary subject, I guess, and people get intimidated by the fact that they don't know how to respond. For majority of my life, I have suffered from depression, and for me, at least at this point in my life, it's not something that I experience or have to endure major symptoms from every single day. I kind of have like episodes where I go through, so it's very much like a roller coaster. After I had Aubrey, I experienced horrible postpartum depression. That's really scary. You don't want to admit that after you've had your first child, that's basically like a miracle baby because you were told that you could never get pregnant, that you're experiencing something like this, because it's terrifying, and because the only thing you ever hear on the news is about this mother whose postpartum depression was so unbearable that she hurt or killed her child or something like that. So it's scary and intimidating if you're experiencing these feelings, because at least for me, I worried that people were going to jump to these huge conclusions that it wasn't safe for Aubrey to be in my care. Luckily for me, it never got to that point, but I was miserable for the entire first year that I had Aubrey, and I feel like if I could just go back in time and try different ways to maybe cope with it, or, you know, not be so afraid and seek medical attention for it, so that I could just enjoy those early days better. I watch a lot of like video clips on my phone that I have of her when she was a lot younger, and now it like hurts my heart that I really miss that time with her, because I didn't have a clear mindset. I was miserable. I felt like everything I was doing was wrong. I felt like I was a horrible mother. You know, when she would cry, I would have to just like put her down and walk out of the room because I was so overwhelmed. And I remember those feelings, and even still at this point, I feel horrible for feeling them. But it's a real thing, and it's really hard to go through something like that when you already suffer from depression on a regular basis. And so that was something that I kind of just knew that I was going to experience it once I had Aubrey. For the regular depression that I experienced in my normal day-to-day life, off and on, I've been prescribed medication. I hate taking medication for my depression. I never found one that didn't give me like a symptom or a side effect that made it worth it to me to continue taking. I've had some of them that completely adjusted my mood negatively, like made me more angry, very irritable, like fly off the handle at the drop of a hat. I've had one that caused really bad headaches. I've had more than one increase, you know, the suicidal thoughts, which is what they warn you about all the time for basically every depression medication. Later on in my adult life, I also started to experience anxiety. Like if I'm at the grocery store, I'm basically automatically having an anxiety attack. I hate being around large groups of people if I don't have somebody close to me that's there to kind of like distract me. I think the anxiety that I'm having increased after I had Aubrey, because a lot of times the anxiety is like centered around her, like somebody abducting her or something bad happening to her. And I think that's kind of normal after you become a mom to an extent. It depends on how extreme it is. But the reason that I wanted to bring up the depression is because it's one of the reasons that kind of delayed me for when I wanted to upload my next update. My house has been an absolute disaster for like the past week and a half almost. Like I feel like I'm kind of losing control of it. For about 3 days in a row, I did nothing but kind of like sit on the couch and just like stare at all of the things that needed to be done, and kind of just like acknowledge that I had a lot of responsibilities that needed to be taken care of, but I just couldn't get myself off the couch. I didn't take a shower for 3 days. For me, it's just like I'll go a while without having these feelings, and then all of a sudden I'll just dip back into it. It doesn't happen. It's not triggered by something specific every single time. Sometimes it might be, but most of the time it's not. It's out of nowhere. And for me, that's what my episodes look like. It looks like minimal self-care, eating horribly or not eating at all, just like being very lazy. I know that I need to get up off the couch. I know that sitting outside or going to the gym or getting up and cleaning something would make me feel better, but I'm like trapped inside my own mind, and my body just isn't listening, and it wants to lay down on the couch. Not showering, not washing my hair, not trying to put regular clothes on and try to pick me up a little bit. The person that suffers the most, I think, is Aubrey, even though she's such a trooper. She's literally my little angel. She's such an independent player that she doesn't really need me anymore. You know, she keeps herself entertained for most of the day. I just wanted to put that out there because that's the majority of the reason why I can't pick a filming schedule. It's why my house 90% of the time isn't clean. That's why the name of our channel is Excuse the Mess, because there's always a mess behind me. It just might not be in the frame. And that's just something that I was struggling with for a lot of this previous week. And I felt like it was just necessary to put out there, because that is a real part of my life. after I have this baby, if I start to experience those same feelings again, which honestly won't surprise me at all, I'm just kind of like mentally preparing for it as much as I can. I am definitely 100% going to seek help for it this time. I'm going to be completely honest with my midwife and not be afraid of any consequences, because I know in my heart that my babies aren't in danger, and I know that it's just better to find a professional to talk to about it. I did tell a few of my friends, I even told a few of my family members, and people either didn't know how to respond to it or just told me everybody gets baby blues. And if you're in a position like me, or you will be maybe in the future, hopefully this just encourages you to just freaking ignore those people that spew that bullshit at you, honestly, because no one can tell you exactly how you're feeling. And I could have gotten so much more time back with Aubrey if I had sought help and didn't stop at the people that kind of belittled how I was feeling. Because until you are in that position, you can't relate, and you just don't know how to respond. So in their defense, I think that's what it was. But this time around, if it happens to me again, maybe I'll get lucky and it won't. I'm definitely going to speak up. I'm going to seek whatever help I need to, because this is my last and final baby, and I can't get that time back with Aubrey when she was little, and I don't want to miss the time with this next baby, and I don't want to miss any more time with Aubrey. I mean, she's at such a curious and fun and smart age where she's just soaking up everything, and I want the things that she's soaking up to be memories with a healthy mom. And I don't want these feelings that I'm having to increase or get worse with the stress that's already gonna come along with having a second baby. So I know that was quite a rant. Hopefully somebody out there that watches this can just relate to that and not feel so alone, because it is a very lonely feeling. I think motherhood is a lonely job in general, and then to sprinkle in symptoms of depression and anxiety or whatever mental disorder you may be experiencing and dealing with, it's just important that we kind of talk about it and not be afraid of it anymore. But that's all I've got to say. Not to make it like a downer and emotional, but Aubrey is playing in the dirt right now, and I'm gonna go join her. So once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch another ranting pregnancy update video. I'm really enjoying filming these. It's something that I'm gonna have to look back on forever. I can't wait to actually start growing a belly. I've got a little one right now, but I think it's mostly food, so that's why I haven't shown a belly shot yet. But I can't wait to just continue to record this entire process of growing my family, and I appreciate everybody that takes the time to come along with me on this awesome journey. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.